Ke nna Motshabi moradi wa Albertina, Mama Chona, le Joseph Mbutana Moloi. Ke le lekgolokwe le hlaba Botswana, le hlaba poka le mau ka sebonong, le hlaba le sa gorong ha mafafane. Mafafane a eja a e halala, a re kgutla hape o e eketsa, motho wa wetsi.
Welcome to the Journey with Mpho podcast, a sacred space for healing, love, and rediscovering your life purpose. Introducing your host, Mpho.
Okay. Let's mic check with this or that game. So remember, I ask you two things. You pick one that you like or that most describes you. So
that game, you're not even more nervous. That game, it's stupid.
Hey, Lala, mommy, this is my house, my rules. If you like, you need to play your own house. Okay. Pizza or kota?
Kota, Mpho.
Soccer or rugby?
Soccer.
BMW or Mercedes?
BM.
Spaza or mall?
Spaza.
Weave or natural afro?
Natural.
Kasi or suburbs?
Kasi. Both.
Only
Both.
one, mom. Only.
Universe. Both.
Quite or hip hop? It's king.
Kwaito.
Meditation or prayer?
High meditation.
Braai or 7 colors?
High braai. You're mutility braai one savings.
Local or international?
Local is like
Dress or jeans?
high jeans. Yo, at my old age, jeans still. Yeah. Who wants to wear dress? 21st century. I probably men will pick a dress. Yeah.
By the way, happy belated birthday. Happy Scorpio season.
Mpho, I saw something on TikTok that we shouldn't celebrate the birthday.
Why?
We should just be. We should be ageless. Ageless.
So you're telling me how to celebrate a birthday?
Yeah.
Okay. So next year, Haxa will a present the Reshapu mus.
Real sharp.
So this was your last birthday celebration in terms of birthday celebrations.
Yeah.
You should have made it big. You should have rented out a tent to a pizza DJ, you should have gone big.
I couldn't go bigger than going to a club, Mpho. That was my first time ever. So that was big for me.
Mama,
there's never going to be any other big. Big, no.
The first time going to a club ever in your entire history. Wait, that's all. As Motshabi, I keep believe. Wait, I keep believe.
Serious.
Hi, I'm
People
Paul.
think I'm a lot of things. I go play.
I'm not people. I'm someone who's known you for almost 30 years now. I've known you longer than anybody you know. Well, except for your brother, but that's different. Okay. So we are done with our mic check. The sound is great. The levels have been checked, so we can get started. Hello. Stop. Hello, Journey with Mpho, friends and family. In the studio with us today is one of the few people who can simultaneously annoy and make me happy. This is someone who I have loved and known as long as I have been able to love and know people. We can confidently call her my first true love. You officially met this guest in season 1, episode 22, titled Mother plus Muse equals Motshabi. Back then, I was so excited to have her visiting that I completely skipped introducing her. So let's make up for that. In the studio with us today is my mother, former South African police officer, as well as former paramedic, single mother of 2, and certified level 3 Reiki practitioner, Motshabi. Hello, Mama. Welcome back to the show. You're clapping for yourself.
Yeah, Mpho, hi.
How are you, Mommy?
Good, thanks, and you?
Thank you. Thank you for joining us in your evening and eating your dinner very quickly to be here with us. Okay. Just as a side note, as you heard in the mic check, we may mix a few South African colloquialisms in the episode. We'll probably switch back from Sesotho to English to isiZulu to Fanagaloko. We'll try our best to keep everyone aboard the conversation. Just stick around. So, Ma, today we're talking all things spirituality and mental wellness. Shortly after you left Hawaii, you started learning and practicing Reiki. What was your motivation for this?
Okay, maybe before I answer that, Mpho, for those who do not know what Reiki is, maybe that's where I need to start at. It's actually a Japanese technique for stress reduction and relaxation. It also promotes, healing, and it's administered by just laying hands, based on the idea that an unseen life force energy flows through us and is what causes us to be alive. Yeah. So one of the reasons why I went that direction in terms of, training or getting training as a Reiki healer was that, I was more interested in healing myself, and realized that Reiki addresses the whole, in terms of your mind, body, and spirit, as a form of energy healing. It also helps, transfer positive energy to self and just anyone that you get into contact with physically. There's actually a number of things that I can state, also in terms of your mood change, general attitude towards life, you become more acceptance to stuff that, you flow. Also, Mpho, it brings, holistic healing and a lot of awareness and alignment, as I said, and also with Reiki, when you have done a lot of Reiki, you'll be able to awaken also your Kundalini, Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things, actually, some of the things that I've spoken earlier is things that I've personally experienced. When I started practicing Reiki, I realized that there's a lot of change, in terms of how I do things or react to certain situations. Sometimes in the past I'll come from a place of anger or judgment, but with Reiki, with healing, with understanding how one or spirituality is all about, you get to a place of self-discipline, and that alignment helps you to have balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emotional stability, if anything, you get to regulate yourself both mentally, emotionally, and
Yeah.
you're able to handle the triggers better or even heal from those triggers so that they're no longer triggers for you. Yeah. I think that's been the same experience for me. But unfortunately, unlike you, I have not been able to Reiki myself every single day. I think it takes commitment. It's a lot of energy work, and you wake up at 4 a.m. before work to do it.
Yeah. For now, I think actually at the point where I am,
I now understand, the benefits, and
Mm.
in terms of also protection, so I'm using it ever since COVID, since 2020, I think
Yeah.
around August, when, during those harsh lockdowns, that's when I realized that I was not one of the luckiest people who were working from home. I had to still go to the office.
Mm.
So, and in that process, I was in contact with a lot of other people that were coming, and some of my colleagues.
Mm.
So I decided, maybe as a form of protection, I think in a biblical way, one would say wearing the armor of God. When I Reiki
Mm.
myself, I feel like, I'm protected and I'm covered. And
Mm.
I don't have, even though, it's a requirement that I wear a mask, but I feel like I'm still safe regardless. You know,
Mm.
I, I,
Mm.
I, I yeah, and I'm not saying this to, mislead people, to make
Yeah.
people think after having done Reiki,
You don't have to
it
wear a mask.
depends. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, besides wearing a mask, Mpho, I'm also at the point where I think for now, I see Reiki as, something that, it's more, it covers everything. It
Mm.
covers I don't know. For
Mm.
people who knows, who understand how energy works, would
Mm.
understand what I mean
Yeah.
when I say,
Yeah.
after having done Reiki, I feel like I'm more, or at least protected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like anything, I think even the Bible makes reference to this. Sickness is a vibration, right? And so it's easy for that vibration to catch on to you if you are already vibrating at a lower vibration. Now, this is not to say that people who get COVID are vibrating at a lower vibration. This is a different discussion altogether. But when you Reiki yourself, you bring yourself to a higher kind of positive, healthy vibration that makes it harder for ntho tse negative or di latch onto you, and
Yeah.
COVID,
Yeah.
though, has had some positives and negatives, has had a very negative experience for batho ba bangata, and you can attest to the time when you had COVID yourself, it was not the best time for you, both mentally and spiritually. You were kind of vibrating a little bit lower than what you normally do. And so energetically, when you bring yourself into maybe a positive manifestation vibration, like, where's that those armor of God raking yourself in the morning, then you are ready, even when your face can't like COVID.
Yeah. But over and above that, Mpho, we go through a lot, in life.
Mm.
I During, actually, when I started Tonga, I think it was in 2010, I struggled, emotionally, psychologically,
Mm.
you name it. And during that process, I gained a lot of weight.
Mm.
Tried a whole lot of things in terms of diet. You and Aquila can, testify. But I've done this. I don't know how many, diets I've been into.
Yeah.
And when I started doing Reiki, the weight just fell off. And I realized during that process that we are actually not gaining weight
Mm.
from what we take in, what we consume, but
Mm.
from, the things that we go through. We keep anger, we do not let go,
Mm.
a whole lot of negative stuff that goes on, that we hold on to,
Mm.
and that sits on our soul or in our spirit. And
Mm.
when you release, or when you start healing, particularly for me, when I started healing with Reiki, as I was Reiking myself, I
Mm.
started losing a lot of weight, and I realized that it had nothing to do with what I was consuming all along.
Mm.
It was the things that I was taking in, whether based
Mm.
on news that I didn't process, because also taking in information that you cannot process becomes, sits somewhere,
Mm.
unconsciously. So it sits somewhere, and for as long as you do not process and you keep on taking in, you keep on, gaining weight. And when you heal spiritually, or when you start healing, you see that going, because you
Mm.
start letting go, you start developing self-love, you start developing a whole lot of stuff that you were missing in the past, I would say, when one was still in the dark.
Mm.
So it helps from protection, anything for me. I've actually benefited
Right.
holistically from doing Reiki. I've
Right.
lost a lot of weight, as I'm saying, financially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to make better decisions, even though I'm not where I would love to see myself at yet. But I'm,
Mm-hmm.
in a process of healing financially, emotionally, psychologically, and holistically. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah.
It's a catch-all. It's a catch-all. But you raise such a good point to say that, the food we eat doesn't always necessarily affect our bodies. It's sometimes emotional baggage. And Reiki took you through this process, it sounds like, of releasing and unbagging your body. Like, go lahla dibeke tseo kaofela, and like, okay. And it's not a one-time process. Like, it's not a session ailing hore o dula ha one o release that emotional baggage. It's a continuous thing. Like, every day at the end of the day, you need to think about, what is it what is it that made me angry today or that upset me, and how can I release that and let that experience go, so that kaosane I start a new day and I have new focus for myself, you know.
Yeah, and we need to create space. We need to create room. We often talk about manifestation. For an example, we want this, we want that. I mean, I'll give you a practical example.
Mm-hmm.
When you buy or when you're looking at changing your wardrobe, you need to let go. You need to remove stuff from your wardrobe. And that's exactly what needs to happen. When you go to bed, you release so that tomorrow you are able to take in. Otherwise, when you do not release, then you are packing. You are just packing. And when the time to unpack comes, it makes it difficult. That's why people run away from healing, because they feel like, no, it's too much, there's too much for me to deal with. But that's because we pack, and seldom unpack and look at things for what they truly are. It's very quick to say, I'm hurting because someone did something. We never take responsibility for our actions, because for me to say or want to blame you for something would, I look at it as something that is very unfair, because I know better, and I try as much as possible now to come from a place of love. So before I question how you treated me, I look at myself, because I know, or I've realized that we are mirrors, I receive, or however you treat me, it's probably having something. And even if it doesn't have something to do with me, I still have, the key to say, come in, or I don't want you in. So for the fact that I've opened that door and allowed you to come in, whatever you do or leave in my space is because, or yeah, it's because I've opened that door and I need to take responsibility. So when you shift blame and take responsibility, discipline kicks in immediately, because you then in future you like, okay, Mpho is here, do I open my door or not? And if it's a no, it's a no. And if there's anyone to be blamed, then you blame yourself. So, you know, you learn to release and look at things for what they are, and in that process, everything just disappears, everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything, in terms of, that's when alignment happens, because alignment is not only body, soul, and mind. It's also any other thing in terms of, your mental health. Are you in alignment? Are you making conscious decisions or favorable decisions? And see.
Yo, so good. I'm very happy that you learned Reiki. I think Aquila and I have both benefited from your healing journey. Not to say
Yeah.
that we didn't benefit from you as a parent before. I think Reiki has allowed you to deepen not just your relationship with yourself, but your relationship with other people as well. I think it's brought on this sort of consciousness, this sort of awareness. Yeah, who am I? How am I impacting the world? And how can I react and respond in ways that are beneficial, not just to myself, but to the collective consciousness of the whole universe, if anything? So
Yeah.
I applaud you for taking the step to learning Reiki, because it's not an inexpensive journey. It's quite expensive, if anything. Not everyone
Yeah.
has access to learning Reiki above paying for their bills and other things. So Thank you for doing that, Ma. So in Reiki, we are taught the importance of sharing with our clients that Reiki is not a religion. Hence, all religions, beliefs, and practices are welcome. We welcome everybody, whether you're a Christian or Zion or whatever you identify as, you're welcome to receive
Yeah.
Reiki and to understand Reiki.
Yeah, the gospel around Reiki is, coming from a place of love, Mpho. You can never, I, I don't, I don't want to sound funny, but you will never be able to administer Reiki unless you're coming from a place of love, you know.
Okay, so slightly shifting the focus from Reiki, which is still part of spirituality, I just want to be specific and ask, what does spirituality mean to you?
I think it's something with room for many perspectives. However, for me, it is a sense of connection to something bigger than ourselves, which typically involves a search for meaning in life. But to put it also in a simpler term is that, for other people, for instance, it would be, building a relationship with your inner self, with yourself, with your inner self. That's the easiest way I could put spiritual. Because with religion, it's religion is something that actually that's also my understanding, or I would say my opinion. But religion for me, it's something that you provide a structure where one can develop a spiritual awareness. Religion also involves, a group of people by either common faith or belief, whereas spirituality, it's between you and self, or you and God, you and your
Yeah.
Ilozi, whatever you want to call it. But it's just something that's within you that you enhance, grow, and have understanding. So it's a journey of self, and self-love, self-understanding, and self-development, but
Yeah.
also very close contact with your guides, your God, your whoever is responsible in terms of your journey, or whatever, that energy, that higher self energy. Yeah.
So it sounds to me like you're describing spirituality in a way that I've always thought about it. Religion at some point intersects the spirituality. You can't have just spirituality. Spirituality could be a relationship with you and God or universe or however you choose to name the higher power that is. It could be an awareness that there's something bigger. But in order to fully experience spirituality, you have to kind of believe, or I would like to believe you have to kind of believe in a higher power of some sort. And whether you experience that higher power in Buddha or Allah or Ilozi or whatever, those two religion, traditional practices, there's always a component of spirituality within all of those elements.
Yeah, and also spirituality also remember will lead you, I don't want to use harsher words, but will lead you to solitude. You need to self-isolate a bit, so that you can reflect and do that proper healing and have clarity and guidance in terms of where you need to go. Whereas with religion, there's a lot of guidance, there's a lot of teachings, there's a lot of, explanations that goes where the platforms are based on different types of religions that we have. So, yeah. Yeah.
So I guess we're saying then, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ma, but there isn't a need to differentiate between spirituality and religion. They're more of co-sisters in a relationship.
Yeah, I think it's just, different levels of consciousness. That's probably another way of putting it, that we are on different levels of consciousness, whether you want to say religion, spiritual, or none, it's still on a certain level of consciousness. Yeah. Because, yeah. I feel and that's my opinion, but I feel like, with religion, you do not get the opportunity to experience, this, connection with God or the source or creation, you know, religion tends to take you outside. You focus more on the outside. It's more about material. It's more about, as I'm saying, the group of people which you need to interact with. But spirituality takes you within. You detach and you focus here. Your connection. You heal, and you learn that with healing and alignment, then comes abundance. So you are, it humbles. Spirituality humbles you. Your experiences becomes more of your teachers, because you get to see things clearly. You don't question God, you do not judge, you do not feel or get disappointed because you cannot get certain things that you would wish. Maybe if I were to deviate a bit in terms of that, I would say, with spirituality, you focus more on meditation because you sit in stillness and get to self. But with religion, then you focus more on prayer because, you more talking to God and maybe praying in, just to get to certain clarities and stuff, and you get support outside, as as opposed to spirituality. You need to just connect, to be able to get
Connect.
clarity.
Yeah. I think I can agree with you. In a previous conversation you had said to me, meditation is listening to God, whereas prayer is asking or talking to God, and there's a big difference. I think one of the key components with the spiritual journey versus a religious journey, and we've done both. We've been to the churches for many, many years. You grew up. I'm going to ask you here shortly about your background in growing up in a family that was church going as well as traditional customs practicing, but I think to a certain point, you like go to church and you listen to someone speak and deliver a message and then you go home. Whereas with spirituality, it's a lonesome journey. It's an internal journey where you're discovering and asking yourself a lot of things. A lot of your beliefs and your practices get questioned. Like,
And having to own up to your, garden, Papa, to put it in other terms. You own up, it's, you take responsibility.
yeah. It's transformative, to say the least. And this is not to say religion is a bad thing. Those who practice religion, we, like I say, Reiki welcomes, and Reiki is not a religion, and this is just what we practice and what we believe in. And we still refer to the Bible, and we still have some biblical beliefs, and there are moments where we still pray. We are, I think the beauty is that we grew up in a household where all of that was incorporated for us. Someone once asked me, like, what religion are you? And I'm like, well, if I'm at a temple, then I'm doing mantras and my prayers and I'm playing singing bowls. If I'm at a church, then I'm singing gospel songs and reading the Bible. And, and if I'm at a traditional gathering, then Rasha, Madi, and whatever, I'm all of those things. And I don't feel that there's a need within me to separate those things, because I grew up in a household and in a family that was comfortable with doing all of that and not making it feel like twanserelwane. There's this constant thing where this people must fight with this people, the unvaccinated must fight with the vaccinated. There's a constant struggle, whereas all of those people and things can coexist without being in disagreement or clashing. There's enough space for Nakaufela to practice all of what we believe, or don't believe anything if you want.
That's why I was saying, when you come from a place of love, everything start to make sense. You just need to come from a place of love.
So tell us, Ma, what was it like to grow up in a household where your mom practiced and believed in Christian values, whereas your dad practiced and believed in traditional Sesotho spirituality?
I think to a certain extent, Mpho, it was a blessing in disguise, because now that I'm conscious and able to understand both, I was able to make an informed decision to say, do I go
Mm.
spiritual? Or even though my spirituality, I believe it was a calling, because I
Mm.
don't remember how I got here, but, I was at
Mm.
least comfortable to also make that decision to say I'm going this direction, because I was exposed at both, and,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Were there ever times in your household where those two clashed? Like maybe your parents had disagreements about how to do simple things? Because, when we get married or when there's a baby born in the family, traditional customs do different things. Like we shed, animal blood or whatever. But like religion can sometimes, or Christian values can sometimes say, no sacrifice.
So both of them at that time were very civil. We'll go to church on a Sunday with my mom, or would have home cells, people coming from all walks of life just to join in. And my father would also not have a problem. And likewise, some Inyangas will come, and do the rituals in terms of your traditions and stuff. And, my mom will also be civil and respect, or allow the process to happen in a very respectful way, without questioning why he's doing things. And also likewise, my father not also being difficult, even though he didn't believe in religion or Christianity per se at that time. Yeah.
I think you lived in somewhat of a perfect world because these days, two people who believe in very different things cannot even get married and live in the same house. Um, we're consistently at war with different religions and different beliefs. And like I said earlier, the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. So
Yeah.
you.
But sorry, to what I wanted to say before I forget is that, for me, now that I'm able to look back and reflect, it was more of, a journey that I had to go, or to venture into, because I think the ultimate goal was to get me here, by
Mm,
here, I mean spiritually awakened. And had I not had the opportunity to have a platform where I can observe and make a conscious choice, I would not have been able to make, a decision, and maybe also would have some elements of guilt, if I only grew up in an environment where only Christianity or religion was practiced. But this had opened me up to say, there's, you you are allowed to choose,
mm,
and
mm,
maybe before making that choice, this is what you have to choose from, then
mm,
I then was
mm.
able to choose. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. They set you up for success. They set you up on this path to a open mind. When the spirituality calling came, you had an open mind and you went forth and said, "Okay, I can do this too because I've seen it get done in my household too."
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the ways your religious and spiritual upbringing affected the way you raised my sister and I?
I think, for the longest time, particularly during the era ya journey yaka, when, you were born, it was more of me not in alignment, was not making conscious decisions. So at that time, I was very focused religiously, and was someone who would go to church. It was a norm, like you dream, if
Mm,
as you remember, would also go to different churches, based on the area we lived in. So at that time, my
mhm,
focus was mainly religious or Christianity, and that's how I brought the two of you up, until when I
mm,
started questioning a lot of things, and was also open in terms of discussing that with you and your little sister, to say, this is my view, and I feel, maybe it's time to just pause and look at things for what they
Mm,
truly are, and also in that process be able to make a decision in terms of a way forward.
mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm, mm. It was an interesting turn because if I remember correctly, you, during your period of like questioning and evaluating, I was still going to church. You know, I'd wake up in the morning and go to church, and you're like, nope,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stay here for a little bit and think about some things. And so,
Yeah. And I felt it's only fair to allow you to go through that process on your own, so that you are also
mm,
able to make a conscious decision. I didn't want to be the reason why, or at the later stage
mm,
you do not even understand why you had to stop going from church, you know, and
mhm,
that would also have a negative effect in terms of decision making or your path. So
mm, mm, yeah. That was good. I only, I remember my moment of, we can call it awakening, though it was a process. I was sitting in a church here in Hawaii and I was like, what am I listening to? Like, do I actually believe the things that I'm listening to? And like, it was very scary because all the years before, I had never questioned it. And all of a sudden, there was this moment of, nope, I can't go back to church. Like now that I've seen and heard this other side of the world, it's hard to sit in church and just consume. There's got to be more for me in terms of my connection to the higher power, whether we call it God, universe, or, whatever. It was interesting. It was very, very interesting. So let's talk a little bit about self love, Ma. Um, what does self love mean to you?
for all of us, probably it means a different thing, but for now it's, just seeing things for what they truly are, accepting things, as is, and
Mm,
just putting self first. Always just put
mm,
self first, be extremely kind to yourself, and just take responsibility for your actions. It makes life easy.
mm,
When you
mm,
remove, you know external stuff that you do not have control over, and just looking at self in terms of whatever, whether it's
mm,
discipline, whether it's making yourself happy, whether it's celebrating yourself. It's, hence I'm saying, by merely taking responsibility for your actions, being extremely kind, and accepting things
mm,
for what they truly are.
mm. I can resonate with that because I feel like I'm in the process of redefining what self love looks like for me. Um, Sometimes we can deceive ourselves into thinking it looks like going for a massage, but on a deeper level for me, self love is becoming aware that, for instance, if someone says to me, hey, I want to hang out with you, but my energy is saying that person is not right or cannot be in my space, then self love means saying, no, I'm not available to hang out with you, and not saying, no, you'll be a bad person, you'll be mean, or, there's something wrong with you if you say no to a person whose energy does not match with you. So it's interesting that you speak about accountability, holding yourself accountable for your actions. You speak about, knowing yourself for who you are and recognizing yourself for who you are. I'm happy you did talk about, spoiling, because sometimes it's a component of self love, but it's a very small component of self love. It's about walking away from situations that make you feel bad, from people that make you feel bad. You know, yeah.
And we we tend to be caught up, in people's energies, in terms of their expectations, and maybe the friends that we choose, and
Mm,
how, society in general wants or expects us to behave. But
mm,
those things indirectly impact on on you, on
mm,
self. And that's where one loses that self-love, because your focus is outside of you. You want to meet everyone's expectations, but in that process you're harming yourself. Hence, you need to focus every bit of energy you have on you, and then it should always be something that can, if you work from inside out rather than outside in, then you enhance that skill of being able to see, especially when you are in the present moment. You see, people at times will say something that doesn't resonate with you, but because you want to, or out because of peer pressure and wanting to identify with a certain group, then align yourself with that. But in the meantime, you're hurting self and takes away from self, and that's where the problem starts, that now you have conflict within, and your focus is outside. There's nothing much you can do for self because your energy is out there, you're spreading it out there and not taking care.
You've neglected the things that resonate with you, therefore
Yeah.
neglecting the God in you, because that's purpose. Yeah. So special, so special. What are some of the ways someone can learn and practice self-love?
I think for now, because I'm not always out there, always on my own. I barely, I'm at a point actually where I'm satisfied. I don't need anything outside of me or anyone outside of me to make me feel happy, to make me feel like I want to be celebrated or liked. I do that, and I it keeps on, it's more like I'm filling up my cup. So I think when the lesser you spend with people or a lot of people, the more you are able to take care of yourself. So for starters, I will say, learn, being, or solitude, being in solitude, being on your own, processing, and just being wary, of what's coming in, and making sure that you do not take in stuff. Like I said earlier, if you are not willing to process information, do not take it in, because everything that we take in that we are not processing, like food, like information, like there's a whole lot of stuff that you can take in, other people's energies. If you're not willing to process those things, don't take them in. They are going to cause harm at some point in your life. And hence, I'll keep on saying that maybe the easiest way to start self-healing and self-love is staying away, look at, focusing at, healing and being kind and processing and unpacking and letting go, and and then eventually you make room for things that matter, for things that you know you are willing and consciously making a decision to get involved into, as opposed to when things are just happening without your involvement, but in that process your energy is
Being spent
yeah.
is being spent. Yeah. I think it definitely starts with a level of an awareness, to be aware. Am I present in my body? What am I receiving? And what do I need to let go of? And can I be by myself? Can I sit with myself? Do I like myself? Do I like my company? Can I celebrate myself? And if everything else that entertains me and keeps me happy is taken away, can I still be happy? So truly building a relationship with self, understanding self, and being present for self can bring someone into a place of self love. Yeah.
We are, or a lot of people are on survival mode. We need to learn to thrive. We must thrive.
Yeah.
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 So when you love yourself, when you are in alignment with your higher self, you thrive.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you are waking outside of you, then you are in that, you know, mode that is not in alignment.
Yeah. And I think sometimes you can feel it, like someone once said, or I think I saw it on a TikTok video, when your anxiety rises in certain situations or with certain people, then it's a signal that the energy isn't right for you where you are. You need to change your environment and you need to change the circle that you're within.
Not only that, Mpho, people who suffer anxiety attacks, if you ask them what's really bugging them, they'll tell you that, things that are still supposed to happen, so they're
Mm,
totally not in the present moment. So they keep on,
mm,
going in and out of their body to try and figure out if things will work out tomorrow or next year, or which doesn't really matter because tomorrow is not guaranteed. And when you suffer
mm,
depression, then you are living in the past, carrying a lot of baggage,
mm,
unforgiveness, So anxiety is being in the future and worrying about what's coming. And
mm.
depression, you are in the past where you need to really look at what's, keeping you where you are.
Okay, so we've had a lot of fun hanging out with my mama. We are about to wrap up this episode, but before we do, I wanted to find out if there's any last words from your heart, Ma. Not like last words, but like last words for this episode.
Yeah. Okay. You know what, Mpho, maybe I should use, if with your permission, maybe just 5 minutes. I just wanted to share something that I think might, be able to help someone out there.
Okay.
Now talking to my tribe, those that I need to connect to in terms of healing, and those that I would love to see heal. So,
Mm,
I'll a bit maybe go back to Reiki because I want to
mhm,
explain how alignment works. And I'll break it
mhm,
down in terms of our chakras. I'm sure some of us know, our chakras and what they mean, and, how it
mm,
helps in terms of alignment. So, with, maybe just taking them through, the seven chakras, so that I can expand on that,
mhm,
being the first one being, our root chakra, then sacral chakra, our solar plexus chakra, heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye chakra, and our crown chakra.
mm,
When we talk alignment, I want to go into detail. When we talk about alignment, we look at those seven chakras that I just mentioned, in terms of, spiritual healing, and also from a medical point of view. For instance, I'll give you an example. When you are not in alignment with your higher self, or maybe one of your
mm,
chakras is blocked, with your root chakra, when it is healed and in alignment, or in a certain vibration, you are able to, to ground yourself, or you are able to
mm,
discipline yourself and make better decisions. That's when,
mm,
if it's, you are in alignment and your chakra is not injured, grounds you and also aligns you, and gives you
mm,
that form of a stability. But on the other hand, it's the opposite. If it's injured, then you get someone that is very ill disciplined, or not being able to make good decisions, or being not being grounded. Because remember, your root chakra also is connected to, Mother Earth. In Mother Earth, in terms of connection,
mm.
it
Yeah.
grounds you, like you are grounded, like a tree would, the roots of a tree will, go underneath
Till
the
the
soil.
ground.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that's exactly what happens also from a human point of view. But with
Mm,
yours being injured, then that doesn't happen. You find someone having, problems, or, not
mm,
being able to, as I said, make informed decision and stuff. But then from
mm,
a medical point of view, because it's what the first chakra, it's also helps you with balance. And from a
mm,
medical point of view, you'll find someone maybe struggling with your, maybe uh, your joints, like your lower body, your
feet,
knees, yeah, your knees,
legs
your hips, your legs. You can think of any kind of ailment that, one
goes
could,
down below.
yeah, so
Mm,
as you align that chakra, you are able to also heal from a medical point of view and from a spiritual point of view, being able to make good decisions. And as you go up your chakras, which if I had time would take you through and explain the benefits and also maybe the disadvantage of not being in alignment in terms of medical and spiritual point of view. Like for instance, with your last one being your crown chakra, it connects you to, your higher self or God or, whoever you're closely. So if you are not, or it's if your crown chakra is injured, then it stops the flow, that energy flow from above to within, and also in terms of alignment. And even if you were maybe to get your crown chakra not injured and not needing healing, and your throat chakra and maybe your
Your
solar
root
plexus
chakra.
chakra are blocked, then that flow also doesn't happen. It makes your alignment a bit difficult. So that's where when you administer Reiki, you actually apply points on your chakras, in terms of alignment and maybe releasing that energy and maybe helping in terms of processing, those elements that I explained in from where when we started talking about, this alignment. So it's vital, and it's something that I from where I'm sitting out, and please don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to get people to come to me and do Reiki. I would actually love to see each person being able to Reiki, because I feel like in future Reiki is going to be something that is needed, as the universe is shifting, energy is rising. We are also aligning, with that high frequency energy that's coming, and Reiki is doing, that in terms of healing and alignment. And when you are healed or your chakras are in alignment, then you're working from inside out, and your chakras are connected to your aura, whereby even if you go outside, it's not easy for external forces or external energies to impact negatively, because your alignment within, it's more like, energies coming from within to the outside, and you flow in a positive light, where nothing from a positive or a negative energy can affect you. And also, if not in alignment, you flow outside in, whereby you take energy from outside and you bring it in, and it creates those blockages that I'm talking about, and you end up not being able to flow and being in alignment with your highest purpose. Because remember, after having done the healing in terms of your chakras, then you get to that point of alignment, you are able to achieve, or to manifest your highest uh, you know um, dreams, or
Purpose.
yeah, you manifest easier than someone who's not in alignment. Yeah. So with all being said, in closing, like I said, I would like, I'm hoping that my tribe and or the information that I've just shared will help someone out there, maybe find a Reiki healer, or even go as a Reiki practitioner, so that you in alignment and also assist your loved ones in terms of healing and aligning with our highest purpose, and also being opening that door of being able to live to our highest expectations, because there's abundance, the universe is abundant. We shouldn't be sitting in a place of lack and thinking God is not responding and stuff. In the meantime, we are actually blocking our progress, or blocking our um our blessings. So the sooner, we come to a realization that healing is vital, the better, because then everything will happen in a way that it's supposed to happen.
You're raising things that I've previously spoken about in episodes in the past. And I think for those who've never heard or are still in the process of learning about chakras and alignment, I would say start simple. Google what the 7 main chakras are. I mean, there are chakras everywhere. There are chakras under your feet. There are chakras on your hands. But Google the
There's
7 main
more.
chakras. Yeah. Google them and then find out what their colors are, because some of the simple things that you can do is, if your root chakra is struggling, or you feel like some of the things that my mom was just explaining in terms of the root chakra are some of the things you identify with, then the color for the root chakra is red. So could you bring some red into your life in terms of maybe red roses, a red dress, or a red t-shirt, or a red something? How can you eat something that's red, to tomatoes, to bring that chakra back into alignment? Because there's simple things like food, clothing, you can change the curtains in your bedroom to the color red. It's a very bold color, but it can help your healing process. And so, like, for me, it has been my throat chakra. How can I bring that blue into my life? Because the throat chakra is blue. Can I eat more
Yeah.
blueberries? Can I liven and heal that process with very simple things? It doesn't have to be like, like we said previously, Reiki is expensive. So it doesn't have to start off that expensive. You can build. And the more that you work toward your alignment, the more that abundance for you to learn Reiki will be released, and you'll have the finances, and you'll have all of those things that start to come together and lead you down the path of Reiki, if that's what you want to do. So very good conversation, Ma. I appreciate you. Thank you for eating your dinner very quickly and for meditating very quickly so that we can have this time to connect and create this magical episode. Thank you for being a guest. And I think that the content that we've created now will truly resonate with a few people or a lot of people, and they'll be inspired to learn a little bit more about themselves, about Reiki, about spirituality, and about where they stand in terms of religion and spirituality. There's been so many good things. My mom's on social media. She's an avid TikToker. She's waving her hand at me. Not that you guys are going to see this, but she's waving her hand at me. She's an avid TikToker. She always shares TikToks with everyone. When I call my sister, she's like, Mom shared another TikTok. And she is on Instagram. She's kind of still debating Facebook, so I don't know. But I will attach maybe her TikTok as well as her there's nothing on her TikTok. She just watches other people's content. We've been trying to get her to create her own content, but she won't. So we'll get her TikTok socials, her Instagram socials. Go ahead and follow her. And an interesting fact is that she does have a smoothie business. And so if you would be interested, it's summertime, South African. Support a Black woman in business, a single mom doing the best. So order a smoothie from her. I'm also going to attach the smoothie flyer when I post up her episode. Go support my mom's business. I love you very much, Ma. Any last 5-second comment?
Yeah, no, nothing, Mpho. I just want to, encourage everyone. I know healing is not a pleasant thing to do, but let's embrace the journey. Let's heal. Let's align. Let's forgive. Let's let go. Let's let God. I think it's time to let God. So let's get closer to self as we heal and make sense of what the journey is all about. Let's eradicate fear.
That's a very good one. So, with that being said,
we are immortal.
With that being said, I would like to sign out. Thank you so much for joining us in yet another exciting conversation. I will see you guys in the next episode. Magolokwe ke taba re buile. Aloha. Well, before you go, I wanted to thank you for taking the first step in supporting my journey by listening to this episode. The second big step would be exploring the various ways you can become an official supporter of my journey by signing up for our Patreon offerings. We offer some great benefits such as one-to-one phone calls and distance Reiki sessions with me. For more information, visit patreon.com/journeywithmpho. The link is in the episode notes. If you loved what you heard, then subscribe to the show and continue to share episodes that resonate with friends and family. If you're listening through Apple Podcasts, please take a few minutes to rate and review us so we can continue to get our content to the people who need it the most. We are serious about getting your feedback, so if you'd like to take the rating and review a step further, check out our feedback survey link in the episode notes. Your feedback will help us to continue offering content that matters to you and is worth your time. Finally, in this day and age, it apparently matters how many followers you have on social media, so go ahead and find us on Instagram at journeywithmpho, and we promise to make it worth your while by sharing heart-centered, conscious content. Thank you for your continued support. I cannot wait to spend time with you again in the next episode.